Good morning, everybody. My name is Nate Manahan, and for the last time in this particular basement, I am here in Indianapolis, Indiana, broadcasting live across the planet to you on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live, on our MyPayProTech Facebook page to bring you the best information, to bring you inspiration, and to help you today learn a little bit about Cash Discount, the history, why we do it, and the best ways to sell it. We have two of the best experts to help you along the way. We're going to have a lot of fun. We hope you enjoy it, and we hope that you have a great hump day. Let's get going with the high five.
The time has come, the questions are said, opinions hide, discussions are led, a show about nothing and everything, it's all the same. We've got sports, entertainment, sales, and marketing. It's time for the high five. We've got it all covered. It's time for the high five. We've got it all covered, yeah. The high five.
All right. Well, you know what? If we couldn't have Matthew McConaughey here, we do have to have the two best gentlemen on each side of the Mississippi. And let's start to the east of the Mississippi to begin with, living, pretty close to Lakes Country in the heart of northern Indiana and central Indiana, the place in Warsaw where absolutely school is coming back in session. I'm pretty sure his life is crazy with his son and his wife full bore, but really he's what keeps the glue and everything rolling. Mr. Brian Linke in the center screen. How are you, sir?
I'm great, Nate. And Matthew who? I'm not sure. Matthew what?
Hey, UT, hook 'em. Is that how I do that? I don't even know. All right, and then on the left-hand side, I don't even know what we can say here because he is in the office and there is a giant fire down the road, and so we're praying for safety for all those that it goes away from homes and that the firefighters are able to contain it. Currently, not very close to the PayProTech Colorado office, but I forget the creek. What's the name of the creek fire?
It's the Grizzly Creek fire. It's about 6 miles directly northeast of us, but it's right in the Glenwood Canyon, and it's pretty bad. It's spreading pretty badly. So crazy times here in Colorado into summer. It's fire season, and unfortunately, it happens almost every year.
It does. It seems like it's just our news coverage is more, so we know more. Like a fire that
Right.
starts, and I think we don't. Maybe I'm not good. It was not a time to debate if there are more fires and what causes them, all that. But certainly we know more about them, and we see the pictures of them now nearly instantaneously. And I was last night, ever since Danny shared this was going on, and I've become I have all the alerts set up to make sure I'm going to help Danny evacuate if he needs to and get Caitlin and Bodie out of there. So I'm watching where it is. I'm like, I know right where Danny's house is. Okay, it's going the other way. All right, so gentlemen, we are starting out this high five today. We're going to talk about Cash Discount. And we know lots of people are joining us. They're going to be watching. We're going to be sending these out in our emails. But to start this out, I think we need to go to the true professor of Cash Discount. There are lots of people that claim that they are the experts, but there is one who I have never met anyone, and I've met 100+ people that say they're experts in Cash Discount that knows more than the left-hand side of this screen, Mr. Danny Shard. Danny, let's set up a little bit the history of Cash Discount. When you first heard about it, how this has changed over the last couple of years, and why, what is the history of how this all came to be that now we're setting up 80+% of our accounts with Cash Discount?
Let me interrupt for 1 second.
Oh,
okay?
Brian, boy.
Let me just say that I'm probably not going to say 3 words on this call because we're talking about cash discounting. I mean, Danny Shard is the number one guy in the industry, bar none. Okay,
No.
So everybody just needs to sit back, relax, listen, take notes because you're listening to the best in the industry.
Well, Brian and I are here because we're going to bring the novice, make sure that we ask the right questions and help people understand, the questions they should be asking Danny. And that's the value we bring, Brian. But Danny, let's go back because, Brian's right. You know this inside and out. You're the one who brought it to us. Man, it's got to be 4 years now. And I went kicking and screaming saying we should never absolutely do this. I have changed my word, and see, my mind.
remember.
As many people would say, I don't change. If people say I don't change my mind, I do. All right, so let's set it up.
Nate, this is not changing your mind. Okay, this is like, okay, you know what? I was wrong, and I admit it.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
what
you're
that
right. I was wrong, and I admit it. And people say I don't admit that I'm wrong. All right, Danny, back to it. The history of Cash Discount. What has happened over the last 5+ years, and where are we now with Cash Discount? Let's specifically, what is the history of Cash Discount?
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. I appreciate you guys saying that. Keith Sampson at NAB and I were kind of headed up this program whenever we rolled it out, and it's been exciting every day. We're learning something new every day. Obviously, all of us know this industry is constantly changing. So Cash Discount is constantly being tweaked, adjusted, depending on signage and verbiage and how it's presented and different solutions. It's always moving, and it's keeping us all on our toes. The history of Cash Discount, that's funny you say, is that it's been around forever, right? We've all seen it at gas stations. We've seen it at other places where maybe they're calling it surcharging, but they're trying to present it in the cash discount type of way, but it's just not presented properly. But really at gas stations is where we've seen it the most for decades. And here's a separate price for cash and a separate price for credit. And, it's just been, the industry itself has taken it by storm and implementing it into retail, restaurant type of establishments where the majority of these merchants are now offering a very similar program where there is a separate price for cash and a separate price for credit. It really started back in end of 2016, early 2017. And it was a time when this industry continued to get more competitive. Technology was really on the ramp up, on the rise, with point of sale systems, especially cloud-based, tablet-based point of sale systems really starting to come out and be more prevalent, especially in the SMB marketplace. And Cash Discount was kind of a perfect fit for that. So as margins were shrinking, partners were really trying to find a different way to differentiate. And so the technology play was the play we had. But we still had to have those really competitive rates. So you might be able to get a merchant account with a new system and a new maybe it's some type of feature or something that's going to help make their business more efficient. But you're still having to price it so tight, 5, 10, 20 basis points. There's little to no margin on the account, right? That account doing $20,000, $30,000, gosh, you'd be lucky to make $30, $40, $50 a month. And that was a great account. Wow, look, I'm making $50 a month on this account, which all of us who've been selling Cash Discount, that's laughable in today's market, right? To make $30, $40, $50 an account, which that was a prime account back then. So with the shrinking margins and obviously merchants constantly wanting to save more and more money, there was only so much that we could do as ISOs and as partners to save these merchants money, right? I mean, it was tight as it is. So that's when Cash Discount kind of took over with, let's just eliminate up to 100% of your processing fees. And there's been a lot of learning along the way with different pricing structures and ways we can approach different types of merchants. But that changed the game with the ability to tie in that technology and then eliminate, or the concept of eliminating a portion or all of a merchant's processing fees. And it's just taken over. Like you said, Nate, it's now over 80% of our submissions are Cash Discount.
Well, and I think certainly a part of this is from the history. Somebody has to pay. I was reading some Facebook posts the other day, and I was commenting back and forth with some merchants, and they were like, "Well, somebody was advertising this as free processing," and they were saying, "Look, this isn't free processing. Somebody has to pay. Here's the customer is helping offset some of that pricing." And certainly, Visa, MasterCard, American Express are going to get their pound of flesh. The banks are going to get their pound of flesh, to quote Shylock from The Merchant of Venice, because that's where I go. What I really is interesting now is this really empowers the merchant now to be more in control in how they accept credit cards, because there was a reason for, the first 30 years of the bank card system, most small and medium businesses didn't accept credit cards. It was too expensive and too much of a hassle. And now it's the cost of doing business, and now they can be in control of that. Brian, I'm going to come to you. As we talk about this, your merchants, how are they hearing this and responding to the ability to be able to charge a different price for credit and debit than they are for their non-cash, or for their non-cash versus cash transactions?
That's a good question. Here in Warsaw, Indiana, it's a slow go for sure. I just get the feeling that being a small town, like everybody's scared to take the first step. We do have some merchants that are doing it, very happy with it. So yeah, I just think that I think it depends on where you are. But again, it all comes down to don't sell price, right? I mean, we don't want to sell price, but you're right, Nate. Somebody has to pay, and what I tell a lot of these agents now that I talk to every single day, the merchant, if they were to raise prices in the restaurant or in their store or whatever, okay, they're raising them more than 4%, right? I mean, nobody's raising their prices 4%. If you're going to raise the prices in the liquor store, it's going to be 10, 15, 20% on top of what it already is. The way that the merchant explains this to the customer is like, hey, you know what? We were going to raise the prices, but instead of doing that, we decided to try this. And at 4%, we figured we decided it was fair, or we know it's fair, because the other way is, we can discontinue this, but then we're going to go ahead and raise the prices for everything in the store, by 20%. If in fact you want to get into that kind of a conversation, but that's the truth though. Because let me tell you something, you go into a Mexican restaurant, you order a margarita for, $6.50, and you come back, 2 weeks later and it's $7.75. You're still buying the margarita. You're not, oh, well, wait a minute, hold on a second. You're not doing that. Whereas, with the 4%, again, we're talking about pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, and there's a certain merchant obviously that is the profile type, and I'm sure Danny is going to talk about this here soon, but and again, I'm not saying it's for everyone, but I'm saying it needs to be part of the conversation.
Well, now more than ever, the merchant is now in control on how they accept credit cards. At first, it was their control was, do I accept them or not? Now there are so few businesses that are cash only, and we're seeing more and more. I was talking to a food truck yesterday, been in business for over a year, doing pretty well, but realized that they have been cash only, never accepted credit cards, and now is the time. And cash discount is going to be the way they implement it and bring them in. And so I think this is ultimately going to bring 100% of our merchants into the modern age accepting credit and debit cards. Danny, one of the things that we hear, though, is that it's hard to sell. Like Brian was saying, Warsaw, Indiana, small town America, no one wants to be the first. Well, we know that there are hundreds of thousands of merchants that are doing this in the United States already, and even more around the world. So I wonder, what are you hearing as the biggest obstacles, and how are our partners helping our merchants travel down the road that this is a really good option for them?
That's a great question, and Brian, I love the way that you position that, especially with the margarita. Right? It's
well, what I learned there, Danny, was that Brian just is going mid-shelf on the margarita. You got to go Cadillac, buddy. Come on, what are you doing there?
Nate, as long as you're buying, I'm going top shelf. Trust me.
Top shelf, absolutely. But I mean, you make a good point with that. A lot of consumers, especially going out to restaurants, bars, depending on where the merchants are located. Obviously, we see this extremely popular in tourist markets. That people are going out to spend some money. Now, merchants don't hesitate to increase pricing when they have increased cost, right? They've got to maintain their margins. And we see that in all different types of businesses. I think the biggest challenge that partners, at least initially, have had as they're approaching merchants with this concept, of course, they present the good, which is we can eliminate up to 100% of your fees. And merchants have never heard that before, right? So, of course, their eyes light up. They remember every month that painful big bill that they get at the end of the month for taking credit card payments. If they're taking $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in payments, they could be paying $1,000, $2,000 in processing fees, right? So, I mean, it really adds up. And these merchants are aware of it. So when you can approach them with that concept, of course, they're like, tell me more. But then as you would get into the conversation, the concern from the merchants would be creating friction with their customer. When in fact, maybe just a few months before, they already increased their pricing, or they had to increase their pricing because cost increase on product or something like that, right? So they didn't hesitate to do that, nor did they get any pushback from customers to do that. Their business is still thriving, but they're still having to pay that painful credit card processing bill. So with this concept though, and as partners have been able to present it in a way as a positive for the merchant to offer a discount to cash paying customers, it's a huge change of mindset, right? It gives them a different way of looking at it and a way that they can actually implement it in their business, present it as a positive to a consumer if they were to get any pushback. The reality is, though, is that consumers, and we all know we're all consumers, that we know how difficult it is for businesses, right? And we can understand that concept of, okay, I'll get a discount if I pay in cash. And when it's presented that way, we rarely, if ever, hear of merchants receiving complaints. And that's kind of the biggest hurdle to get a merchant over initially is okay, I love the concept, but I'm a little concerned. I just don't want to create any friction with my customers. And it's surprising as you can present it to that merchant that way and explain that to them, and explain the flexibility that the program has, right? As you ease your customer base into this or your business into this, you can offer the ability to waive it per transaction and give the merchant a few talking points to help them through that, right? Use this as a way to create customer loyalty. Use this as a way to impress a first-time customer by explaining the program. Hey, I see you're paying with a card today. You can see by our sign we have a cash discount program, but thanks for coming in and see us. I'm going to go ahead and waive that and give you the cash price. Come back. And it's just an excellent experience for the consumer, and it's a way that the merchant can kind of spin that into a positive. So a lot of businesses are doing it, and if we can arm them with verbiage and some different things that can help them get through, especially initially as they're implementing it, it's going to help them stay with it for a long time.
Well, and I saw yesterday, or maybe the day before, so a merchant, not one of ours, somebody was sharing it in one of the groups I was in, that had put out and said, look, we are in hard straits. We've got to figure out ways to increase revenue, to increase margin. And they put out, I think, 5 things. I don't remember exactly what were, but one was we can pay our employees less. We can cut employees. We can raise our prices across the board, or we can start charging a different price for credit versus cash and non-cash fees. And as they were talking about that, it was resoundingly, this was a popular place, had hundreds of votes. We'll go ahead and pay a little extra for the ability to use our credit and debit cards. I think that's becoming I think we're close. I don't know that we're at a tipping point, Danny or Brian. What do you guys think? That this is, the consumer mindset is, hey, this is something that we can probably do. What do you think?
I think it's definitely worth a conversation. Here's the other thing, and again, I'm not a big price guy or a numbers guy, but a lot of these merchants need to do a little simple math as well. I mean, if I'm a merchant, and let's just say I tell myself, okay, you know what, this may cost me, I don't know, 10% of my sales per month. Okay, so do the math, figure out what that number is, and then look at the fees that you're saving every month, and let's, where are we with this, right? I mean, okay, so let's just say it's a 10%, you're losing 10% of your customer. I get it. But margins are really low, and by saving money on the fees, and I'm not saying this is going to work every single time, but it's definitely worth a conversation with the. And here's the other thing, and I've been starting to do this with every single one of my partners that we do analysis for. Sales team at payprotect.com, right? I mean, get a statement. For every analysis that I do now for my partners, we do 2. We do the Interchange Plus, and then we do the cash discount. And when you hand both of those analysis to your merchant and they look at those numbers, then the wheels start spinning, right? Because when you're saving the merchant 99.9%, and the savings is $1,000 a month, $1,500, $2,000 a month, whatever it is, it opens their eyes a little bit. And then get the pencil out, start doing some math, and you might be pleasantly surprised at where you are when you're done with the whole thing.
So, Danny, can you tell me a little bit of what we've learned about the variations that we have when it comes to cash discount? There can be different pricing, And that a lot of times applies to different opportunities, how the, high ticket, low ticket. What are we learning about the ability to even be flexible in how we use the cash discount? Because there are a lot of programs out there that it has to be this, it has to be that. Ours is very flexible. Why did we do that? And how are we seeing it applied? You got to mute, Danny. There we go.
Here we go.
There
We're
we go.
seeing a lot of competitors that are, it's kind of their way or the highway, right? And I think they do that just to kind of create some consistency. And I can only assume that the effort there is to simplify it for partners to present, right? So this is the way the program works. Go sell it, take it or leave it, Mr. and Mrs. Merchants, right? This is all you can do. When our position is completely different. Our position is to, obviously, the partner's in the driver's seat. The partner has carte blanche to price however they want and approach a merchant however they want. Just like with traditional pricing, cash discount should be the same. You should be in charge of how you want to price the merchant and the margins that you want to make on the account, right? I mean, it's how you want to sell the program, and we give you all the different tools to do it. So Nate, when you're talking about different ways that we've done it, it's kind of mind-boggling when you can think about all the different pricing scenarios and ways that you can accomplish a cash discount program. Like you said, depending on card types, type of business, most importantly, sizes of transactions, very important to look at, especially when small ticket merchants are in play. You'd want to have kind of a dual pricing model with a per item fee included. And it's been great for our team to learn this over the last few years so we can really properly educate partners when they come across these unique scenarios and how they can approach it.
What do you think that when it comes to the partner, I think we've talked a lot why the merchant might be a little bit reluctant and how to overcome that. But certainly the partners over time have become less and less reluctant. And full disclosure, it costs, or it makes more money for all of us. It gives margins for us because it was hard for us to stay in business. And the only way that the merchants were going to be able to accept credit cards is using companies like us. So this provides us that way. But I believe there's other reasons, my guess, Danny, that partners are now accepting it, that they had other objections that they have now overcome. Why are reasons that partners, other than money, are so excited about this opportunity and to be able to sell cash discount as a value add to all their merchants?
It was a phased process, right? As cash discount gained popularity, of course, a lot of partners, especially partners with teams, they're looking for all different ways to create different revenue streams, build up their business, sign more merchants. And so cash discount obviously is immediately appealing to them, where they can have a standout type of program and make more revenue. There was a lot of partners that are more seasoned. I won't say old, or I'll say more veterans of our industry, right? And you're kind of in that concept, but we can all see, as we've been in this industry, I've been in it since 2003, and it was tiered pricing. And that was to the masses. And then it quickly went to interchange pricing, when historically interchange pricing was saved for the whale accounts, right? These monsters doing, 100, 200, up to $1 million a month in volume. That's what interchange pricing was for, is these big merchants, right? They deserve the wholesale cost plus. The micro SMB marketplace was primarily tiered pricing, which created very high margins for ISOs and partners. But then as the industry got more competitive, we see it go to interchange plus, and that's the pricing change. And then a lot of partners, I remember when tiered pricing was still very heavy footed, there was a lot of partners that were upset seeing other offices signing that merchant at 40 basis points and 50 basis points. They're like, look what you're creating. You're creating this new trend, and it's driving down all of our margins. Well, so what? It's a competitive marketplace. Get it while you can. I'll make a little bit of money on this account and keep it for a long time. And you're going to have to compete with that. And so a lot of partners that were into that type of pricing model, making good revenue on these merchants, had to tighten up, and margins got smaller. And it was just the way that the industry and that direction that it headed. And then cash discount is the same thing, different pricing model. You've got some pushback, some people that either don't believe in it or think it's a phase or a fad. when I think we've proven over the last couple of years that this isn't going away, right? And we've said for a long time, Brian, Nate, you and I, and all of us have talked about this, Billy, until we're blue in the face about the popularity of this cash discount program and how, you know, different markets around the world have implemented this well before the United States did, and they're still doing it today. So it just takes our marketplace a little bit longer to get into it. I think one of the biggest challenges, though, in regards to the pricing side of it and these margins is, and I talk about this often, is say the merchant is on a very competitive pricing structure at interchange and 10 basis points or 20 basis points, whatever they're at, and their current overall effective rate is 2.2%. So how do you as a partner justify pricing them at 3.84 and 4%, right? And that's the question that a lot of merchants will ask, especially that have been in business for quite a while. They've probably switched processing companies quite a few times. And there's a lot of merchants that are somewhat experts in this pricing, and they kind of know what they're getting. They know what 10 basis points is. They know what the, you know, transaction costs are, and they're well aware of it. And so I think that's one of the hurdles that partners will have as you're implementing these programs into more seasoned businesses that have been there, they're more established. Of course, they want to eliminate those fees, especially during times right now, COVID and everything else that's going on in our worlds. You know, they need ways to save money to stay alive. And but where they're saying, well, why would you put me at 4% when I'm currently just over 2%? So, you know, there's several ways that you have to get around that, and it's obviously justifying the program in and of itself. We've created this program to allow you to do this in a compliant way. We provide you the systems, the knowledge, the signage, everything you need to implement this program. And we make more money for it. You make more money for it. It's a win-win. These are business people, and having that business conversation is something that we shouldn't be afraid to do. But you've got to come loaded with a little more as well as far as solutions, right? And that's why, Nate, we're offering more placement point of sale systems. We're offering better equipment, right? So if you can come loaded with, you know, placement options on all this new software and hardware and eliminating fees, that's how you're going to be able to justify and get around an objection like that, which seems to be the elephant in the room, especially with a lot of these seasoned merchants.
Well, and I think so much is that we have to bring more value when we're going to make a little bit more. And back when we were making $20 a month on an account, well, you know, it's not worth that, unfortunately, that much time. But now when we can actually make these profitable and we can bring more value, we just have to explain that margin from that 2.2 to that 3.84 plus percent and 4% to your customer. It makes a major difference for us to be able to provide more value. Are you seeing that, or our partners to be able to present that and say, walk in with a little more confidence? Look, I want to do more work for you. I want to provide more value for you. But in order for us to do that, we have to create more margin in us, just like you are trying to create more margin for your business.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, going in there with the ability to eliminate processing fees and explaining the program to the merchants, talking about the pricing and how it works, and then coming to them with, free point of sale systems. I want to be here for you. I want to support you. I want to get you in to a better system, make your business more efficient, make your entire operation more efficient, right? Whenever you can go in with that, you're going to just have a lot more confidence, and it's going to be easier to sell this program and justify the pricing that goes along with it.
Brian, you do such a great job spending time with our partners, especially ours as they're starting out, getting them going, connecting them to our relationship managers, and helping them really set up for success. What would you say percentage of new partners, those who have, let's say, a year or less of experience in our industry, how much are they using this? Is this a big piece of their toolbox? Should they be using it more? New entrepreneurs in the payments industry, how much are they jumping into the cash discount world?
Well, first of all, I told you that Danny Sharp was going to do 90% of the talking on this call, so I'm pretty close because there's nobody better at it. But so to answer your question, Nate, number one, I just tell them the fact. Okay, 80%, right? 80% of paper text of the deals that are submitted by our agents today are cash discount deals. Okay, well, if 8 out of 10 our cash discount. Well, I'm thinking these new partners better at least pay some attention. I know our coach Mike Stetzel is reiterating the same exact thing, or and just pounding that down into them. And so, again, and I'm brutally honest with our new partners, with all of our partners, to be honest with you. And sometimes it gets me in trouble. But and I tell them, this job is hard. Selling this, payments, merchant services, POS systems. Okay, nobody ever said it was easy, right? So like the work that you're doing, selling cash discount is the same work that you were doing selling tiered pricing or interchange plus pricing. Nothing's different. The only thing that's different, and I know we don't want to continue to talk about it, is your residual. Okay. And say what you want, but I mean, that's why we're doing this, right? We're doing this to put more money in our pockets. And with the program, we're able to put more money back into the merchant's pocket. And so again, sales team at PayProTech, I put in every single time that I do an analysis, I ask them for an interchange plus pricing analysis and a cash discount analysis. And that way, I mean, even if you just walked into the merchant, didn't say a word, and handed them 2 pieces of paper and walked out, okay, at least it gives them something to look at. And again, I'll say it again. Going out there, pounding the pavement, especially now with the pandemic. I mean, it's as if this job wasn't hard enough. Now we've got another curveball thrown at us. But so yeah, I mean, it's gotten a little bit harder. So again, I just think that it's something that every single one of our new partners, is definitely taught and trained on, and it's definitely something that I talk about just because, we're all in this to build our residual and build our portfolio and help the merchant. Again, when you say, well, but the customer loses. Well, no, the customer doesn't lose, because the customer, let me tell you again, the merchant does not raise prices 4%. Sorry. They don't. Okay. If they're going to raise the prices, we're talking 10, 15, 20%, maybe even more than that. So, I think everybody's a winner when it comes down to it, if it's explained the right way.
I mean, I think more and more it's providing the empowerment of the merchant, and they are able to be in charge of making the choice. Danny, are you a proponent, like Brian's been saying, of just putting all the cards on the table and saying, here are all your options and just comparing? Or are you seeing more of our partners just saying, I'm only doing cash discount, and so that's the only option with me? What are you seeing?
That's actually a really good question. I do think the majority, if not all partners, are offering both, where you got to give the merchant options, right? Like Brian's saying, I mean, and he's the best at this and educating partners how to do this, which is, talk to merchants about it, but you can kind of keep the conversation open a little bit and keep them excited, right? Eliminate processing fees. Either way, we can save you money, even if it's on traditional processing. Let's talk about your system. Let's talk about software, and let's look at a statement, and we'll give you an analysis, and I'll give you a full breakdown and show you exactly what this looks like. So you can really kind of keep it high level, keep them excited about it. But when you come back with those pieces of paper, here you've actually got a pretty decent rate on traditional pricing. I can save you, I don't know, $15-20. I can't qualify you for this free point of sale system, so you'd have to buy that. But it will really help your business. Now look at this on this cash discount program. We're going to eliminate all of your processing fees. The impact to your card holder, for example, is going to be 87 cents. And I'm going to get you into this point of sale system at no cost on the hardware. And heck, we're going to waive the software fee for the first 60 days. Let's sign you up, see how it goes. I guarantee you're not going to get pushback from your customers. 99% of the time, the merchant's going to sign with that program. So when you can kind of keep it high level, but you give them the flexible options, right? When you present it that way, you don't feel, or the merchant won't feel like they're getting backed into a corner to make a decision. They're able to make the decision, and you're presenting the best options for them.
Well, and I, inspired by Brian here, I looked up, I just typed in the cost of milk increase this is from May 15th, 2020, not too long ago. I think I know it's just continued to go up. From April to May, the cost of wholesale for milk had gone up 9.6%. Brian's point is that when we're changing and offering a fixed 4% or 3.5, depending on the situations, it is much less than the cost of inflation, and it actually directly impacts the revenue of the store versus this 9.6 is the wholesale that the store is paying in order to do that. So if they raise their cost 9.6, they're not making anything extra. So these are the things that I think have an opportunity to bring in the conversation. Parting thoughts. We're not going to cover everything in cash discount, but I'm going to ask both of you, what is one thing that we haven't covered on cash discount that you always talk about when you're presenting it to our partners? I'll let you guys choose who goes first, who jumps in.
Go ahead, Brian.
I'm not sure that we've missed anything. You know what? Maybe we have. When you're selling cash discount, obviously you can, thinking is allowed, right? I tell my kids all the time, you're allowed to think, right? So there are certain types of businesses that are better candidates, I guess is the word, for the cash discount program, right? I mean, so smaller tickets. I'll give you a couple of examples. Liquor stores that's a great example. Just because the 6-pack is $10. Nobody's complaining that it's 4% on top of 10. I mean, nobody's. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go down the road and buy it from that guy because he's not okay. That's not happening. I've got, just personally, I've got a company out in California. It's a towing company that I talked him into doing cash discount. And it was a struggle. There's no doubt about it. It was a struggle, but now he's seeing, but again, okay. So, you're broken down on the side of the road. It's $100 for the tow. I mean, are you complaining about that? It's 104. I don't think you are. So again, I think that's one of the things that we didn't talk about. There are profile type businesses that are better candidates for the cash discount program. And if you want to talk about it, give me a call. We'll have that conversation. But I just gave you two of them. Liquor stores and towing companies. And obviously, there's a lot more. You just have to start thinking about who they are and maybe attack those kinds of businesses.
All right, Danny, what do you say?
Yeah, there's a lot we've covered, and there's so much more that we could go over. Like Brian said, I mean, Brian hit on a really good point there. I think one of the best things that partners can do is stay involved with your merchants and educate them and their employees. Most importantly, right? I hear a lot of partners providing more of a white glove type of experience when they're doing an install, or even sticking around as the merchant starts implementing the program during the checkout process to help guide them with conversation points and anything that they need to help them as they're explaining the program. The beauty of our partners also pushing merchants and getting them into more POS systems, kind of getting away, if you can, from the older terminals like Verifone and Ingenico, is these systems create a lot more transparency and actually make this program a lot easier to present to a consumer. Because whenever you hand that consumer receipts, it actually shows them both the cash price and the credit price, which is 100% ideal, and it eliminates any confusion, and it actually shows it as a discount, right? And that's exactly what merchants want to do. And I think if partners can actually continue to promote that even more so, especially as we have more and more deals and easier ways to get merchants into these systems, you've got to become an advocate for that. You've got to push merchants into systems like this. It's going to make them even easier to implement the cash discount program, and you're going to make a lot more money for it.
All right, I'll get these guys ready to give their final thoughts of encouragement as we're hump day. This Friday, we're going to be talking all things placement, what it means to place hardware in our new merchants, in our current merchants, all the opportunities that we have to do that, including when we have our Edge, our cash discount pricing. So join us again around 10 a.m. on Friday. If you want to join it live, we'll of course have the recorded on all of our places, and we'll be emailing it to you as well. I want to say, guys, the thing about cash discount that excites me, and I mentioned before, I was not a fan to begin with, and I came at it as a consumer, and I fought it. I was like, man, I don't want to pay 4%. And then, but eventually, I was wrong. Brian. And I realized that, you know what? This is how business is done. We need to find a middle road where we all are making money. And right now, in the way the business was done before, the small and medium businesses had to come to us for the processing, but we weren't making any money. And now we can provide an opportunity, we can make money and provide more value, including great placement programs, and be able to use that and make sure that we are a one-stop shop. All this, we're so excited to be part of the PayProtect family. Brian, Danny, as we talk about this more in the coming weeks, Danny, let's talk about this. We don't often say this. How can they get a hold of you and your team to learn more about how PayProtect does cash discount and how that can change their business, their merchant services portfolio, and that help them as entrepreneurs to grow their business? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, reach out to me, Danny at payprotect.com. My direct office line's 281-301-1086. I love having these conversations and helping people start to sell programs like this. It's exciting. It's exciting for all of us. And what's more motivating than being able to provide merchants with solutions like this and make a lot more money? So it's Wednesday. We've got a lot of things rolling out in the month of August. Better POS placement options, waiving program fees. We sent an email out earlier about our partners at Cash Buoy. They've got a phenomenal commission structure available to partners writing cash advances, which we're seeing a lot more of. Merchants need money. Got to talk about that. So a lot of exciting things happening in August. And call me and we can talk about all of it.
All right, Mr. Brian Linke. You are the inspiration to so many of our partners. Do it now. It's all yours.
You know, again, we price, right? Cash discount, blah, 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 blah. But again, it all boils down to, and I talk to a lot of new partners, these guys, I'm getting this over here and they're paying me this over here and blah, 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 blah. And everybody, just talking this is a big game. Okay, I'm just telling you right now, the support that you're getting at PayProtect, the packages that, Danny Shard might be the most aggressive guy when it comes to putting together, residuals, and percentages that you're making. So you're not getting anything better anywhere else. I can promise you that. You may get as good as far as our residual percentage, but you're not getting any better. I can promise you. Free equipment bonuses, that kind of thing. But the bottom line comes down to, Danny Shard, Brian Linke, our relationship managers, Jason Lee Cook, Jenny Reichel, Pamela Bailey, and Jen Sales. Okay, we got the four of them. You've got Mike Stetzel, the coach that you can reach out to. Okay, I'm telling you, there isn't an ISO out there that's providing the support that you're getting here. So, you want to talk about residual splits, percentages? Trust me, I'm more than happy to talk about it. I know Danny's more than happy to talk about it because, again, when we're talking about these things, when partners are talking to us about residual split, okay, those are I love having those conversations because that means these guys want to go out and make more money. Okay, and that's where we are with this thing. So again, it's it's Blinky, BLINKY at payprotect.com, and my direct line 574-376-2347. And if I don't answer, it's because I'm on the phone, which Danny monitors those calls every day, and I'm crushing him, by the way.
Always on the phone.
Yeah, I'm crushing him, by the way, this week.
No way.
But yeah, reach out to us. Let's make some money together. Let's help merchants. Let's educate customers. Let's educate merchants, and let's keep this thing rolling.
All right, gentlemen, as we close out here, we are so thankful you joined us. If you have watched this whole thing, you just spent about 35 minutes under Professor Danny Shard, and well, let's just call him Professor Apprentice, Mr. Brian Linke, to learn all things cash discount.
Professor.
There we go. And so it's been a great morning. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so glad to be part of the High Five. We'll be back on Friday. Come join us. Thank you so much. High five, everybody. The High Five. We'll see you on Friday.